Meeting to order, please. It is Southern Shores Planning Board meeting, December 15, 2025. If you all would please stand with me and we'll say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My hat.
Don't forget it.
Help me.
I'll take it.
Okay. We've got approval of agenda item 3 on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Anybody? Ed, I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Approval of the October 2025 meetings minutes. Boy, that's about as clean a set of minutes as I've ever seen, I think. AI, Wes?
This is it's a third-party consultant. They
Yeah.
probably use, there's probably a little bit of AI
Yeah.
mixed in with it.
No, they're really well done. Anybody pick up any mistakes that we need to be aware of? Okay, I will move to approve the minutes of October 2025 meeting. Could I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jan. Any discussion? All in favor of that, please raise your hand, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None seen. Okay. Man, this is 3 people out here on a night like this. Anybody have any public comment you'd like to just tell us about in general?
I started up.
You did.
Is it okay?
Keep it brief. Come on up.
I plan to keep it very brief.
My name's Elizabeth Morey. I live at 59 Jean Guy Trail here in Southern Shores. I came primarily to tonight's meeting. Well, I love being with the planning board, no doubt. But I wanted to make a public sort of appreciation for the Civic Association. Thank you for all you do for the town of Southern Shores, for our community. You guys are 100% volunteer, and we couldn't do this without you. So thank you for everything that you do. And my holiday appreciation for the planning board members. Thank you all for everything that you do. Coming out on a cold, dark Monday night to do this work, I really just want to express my gratitude for everything that you do. Thank you. And of course, staff. Thank you guys. So that's it. Thanks. Merry Christmas. Happy New
Same
Year.
to you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
All right.
Okay. Old business, none. New business, item A is CTA 25-06. Wes, I'm gonna let you give us a brief rundown of why we're here.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tonight, you all have ZTA-2506 on the agenda. This is a zoning text amendment application submitted by Southern Shore Civic Association Incorporated, and they are requesting to amend Town Code Section 36-97. I've got on the screen the paragraph that is Section 36-97, which addresses walls and fences. And the proposed amendment from the Southern Shore Civic Association is, it constitutes a sentence at the end that states, for community recreational facilities, no fence shall exceed 10 feet in height. So Town Code Section 36-57, which addresses definitions in the zoning ordinance, defined community recreational facilities as recreational facilities owned and operated by not-for-profit entities which are constructed for, open to, and available for use by members, property owners, and their guests. This amendment, if adopted, would establish a new maximum height of 10 feet for fences for community recreational facilities in all zoning districts instead of 6 feet. The SSCA currently owns and operates 9 community recreational facilities in the town. And something to note is that the SSCA also requested the only amendment that I'm aware of to this section in 2013 to bring it to the language that it is today. At that time, they sought an amendment to state that walls were allowed to go, as long as they don't exceed 10 feet in height for wireless telecommunication sites. That was when that 148A Ocean Boulevard, when the flagpole cell tower was put in, they requested a ZTA to amend this section so that they could have a 10-foot wall around the equipment there on that site. So that was in July 2013, I believe. And with respect to the town's land use plan, the town staff has determined that there are 2 policies that are applicable to the proposed ZTA. We have determined that they are consistent with the town's currently adopted land use plan, and town staff recommends approval of this application.
Okay, thank you, Wes.
Yes, sir.
Any questions of Wes on any of that? I'm assuming you all are representing the Civic Association. Would you like to, is there anything that we need to know outside of what has been presented?
Do you want background?
Yeah, and if you'll come to the podium. You got, yeah. Get you on record here.
I'll be brief. This, the need for this came from the use of the current pickleball court at Sea Oats, which unfortunately people have decided to try to climb over. It was constructed at a time before any of us were on the board. It really should have been 10 feet. And if you note, the Hillcrest tennis courts are 10 feet. And we don't have those kind of intrusion problems with the Hillcrest tennis courts. So working with Wes and Cliff, we came up with, okay, let's see if we can put this 10 feet, same footprint as is there now, it would just be 10 feet tall. So really it's a public safety matter that we're looking, so people, hopefully, not to say that nobody would try to climb over, but I think extra 4 feet could be daunting.
Sure, yeah, no, it's a bit more of a deterrent than 6 feet.
Absolutely,
That's standing on somebody's shoulders and hopping over.
exactly.
What they did though on Chickahawk is they're digging underneath and they're pulling the,
Jeez. Huh.
on the fence.
Well, the construction of the new fence, assuming it's granted at 10 feet, will be very, very similar to what is at Hillcrest now, where there's bars on the bottom, and
Right.
to try to lift up, you would actually have to cut wire and, vandalize the property to get in like that.
Good.
The only question I have is that I'm sure you're going to do chain link
Chain
fence
link.
again. But I think for moving in the future to put this language in there, we probably just ought to add one more sentence and say, let's see, what did I have? I said, after your final sentence in the ZTA concerning that, I would think somewhere along these lines that next sentence would be, said fence shall be constructed utilizing see-through chain link fabrication. I mean, it just defines it a little bit more than, if somebody wanted to come in down the road and build a solid fence below and go above it, I mean, this would prohibit anything other than a chain link fence.
Transparent fence.
Right, the see-through.
Yes, perhaps not necessarily chain link, but maybe some other material.
Right.
I just would hate to see a 10-foot wall
Yeah, yeah.
Around any facility. I mean, especially since, I mean, the reasoning that I heard was that people were using it.
Yes,
I mean, that's what it's for.
exactly.
It's not like there's a huge vandalism problem with people were having parties or something. So raising it, it's yours, great, but I hope it will be transparent.
That's our plan, because what we don't want is to create a place where, teenagers could go and hide and do what
Sure.
can happen when they do the things like that. So it definitely chain link.
Well, my objection to the solid one is different than yours. I'm not worried about people hiding in there. It's just a visual obstruction. And that's not the purpose of a recreational space.
Sure.
Yeah,
Totally
that
agree.
pickleball area is really quite surrounded by three sides anyway. I mean, I was looking at it today, and I don't think 4 extra feet would catch anybody's eye in there.
Well, for pickleball, you may have folks wanting that make it solid because I understand it's quite loud.
Well, does anybody have any heartburn about putting that one sentence in there? It doesn't define anything really.
So that would just apply to fences that were 10 feet in height for community facilities?
Yeah.
Or would it
community
apply to every
recreation.
fence?
Huh.
Would it apply to every fence for a community
But
recreation? facility?
it couldn't exceed 10 feet, nor could it be anything other than chain link.
Right, no, I'm asking, so let's say the fence was 6 feet. Are you intending for it to be chain or see-through?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just making sure we're getting the wording right.
In other words,
yeah.
all fencing versus height, whatever height it is, it's to be
But
see-through.
it's just
right?
a max height at 10 feet. And, the whole fence, the whole 10 feet would need to be the same, utilizing chain link fabrication.
Do y'all have a need in any of your recreational facilities to have like a board fence that is?
None that I'm aware of,
We don't
Susan.
want to hamstring you either.
No.
Yeah,
So might I suggest that if you added it in the same sentence, the chain link, then it wouldn't apply to the other 6 foot fences, other places. Does that make sense? I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, I would restructure a lot of that paragraph beyond what we're talking about. I think that first however doesn't need to be there. And it probably needs to say within or abutting any residential district, et cetera, and then say, however, for wireless telecommunication sites, no fence or wall shall exceed 10 feet in height, comma, and community recreational facilities, no fence shall exceed 10 feet in height. And then say semicolon, for community recreation facilities, all fences shall be transparent, see-through, whatever. But that would just be me.
I was just trying to keep it simple, add another sentence that really doesn't
The only thing,
put
yeah, I
any
mean,
more restriction on it.
it gets confusing though. So you read that first part and does that residential limit apply regardless of the second part? And it could be clarified, I think.
I think if it was added as part of the same sentence, it would make sense.
What's that?
For community recreational facilities, comma, no fence shall exceed 10 feet in height, nor be constructed of
Solid,
a solid material or something like that.
opaque, yeah,
Or should they be opaque?
yeah.
But putting it, however it's defined, putting it in the same sentence helps, that it's only for community recreation.
I assumed that when you said, or when I wrote said fence, that means
That,
that fence. I mean, I'm no lawyer, but I think that's probably the way a lawyer would talk about the said fence.
or just repeat community recreational facilities. shall be constructed.
I don't have any trouble how it's written. I just think we need to make certain that We just say that it should be constructed utilizing see-through chain link fabrication.
I'd be comfortable making that as a recommendation to let Wes figure out how to address it.
It sounds like, I mean, if we went one sentence for community recreational facilities, no fence shall exceed 10 feet in height and shall be transparent or shall be opaque, sounds like it would accomplish it. Unless you specifically want to say chain link.
I kind of like chain link.
That's fine.
I mean, that's-
Chain link or similar material.
That's the typical fencing material on recreational facilities all over the world.
I do have a question. Don't we have other facilities that have fences greater than 6 feet now?
Chickahawk.
Are they, do we know how they got there or they just,
Chickahawk, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Hillcrest tennis court
Hillcrest.
fence is 10 feet. That was all done during the conditional use permit process, and I don't recall, I don't know what year that was.
It was a long time ago when we were on there. Probably.
And then the other fence, the marketplace, it's, I think 10 feet, but they're allowed 10 feet in commercial district.
Yeah, and it's solid.
And it's a buffer,
For
yeah.
obvious reasons.
Yeah, that's a buffer.
are the community rec facilities by right?
I believe they are special uses. I believe. Tennis courts, pickleball courts are about right.
So we distinguish between pickleball and tennis courts and community rec facilities?
Yes.
Does this, if we only, I mean, no one's going to come back and say, well, that's a pickleball court and not a community rec facility. So therefore, they can't have a fence that's greater than 6 feet.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Are we in agreement that we can basically go down the path using chain link fence?
Fine.
And let Wes, we'll recommend it to send it on to town council and you can clean it up a little bit.
To go back to planning board member Zahner's comment, in order, this would only apply to community recreational facilities. It would not apply to just freestanding. If somebody had a tennis court in their backyard, this would not apply to that.
Right.
They would still be subject to the 6 foot
Right.
requirement. This would only apply, if this is approved, this only applies to community recreational facilities owned and operated by not-for-profit organizations. So it would apply to CPOA properties.
We good?
I'm fine with just adding
Okay.
it and shall be chain linked.
Well, I'll read this. This is what I came up with, and if we want to go a little bit different, Wes can tweak it when he presents it to town council, but I just simply had another sentence that said fence shall be constructed utilizing see-through chain link fabrication. I don't think we can get in much trouble with that sentence. I mean, is that okay with you, Wes? Then I'm going to make a motion to put that on Wes's plate. If you all are in approval of the basic language, word here, word there, be fine.
Well, whatever you all recommend is what we will.
Well, then
spend-
that sentence is
Yes, sir.
what I would recommend in my motion.
Yes, sir. Then that's what would go to council, and the SSCA, as the applicant, would have the opportunity to say, yes, we want to go forward to council with that recommendation, or they could choose to go with their original language, and then there would be a separate planning board
Right.
endorsed document, but we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, just to make sure that the civic association's okay with, what the language is here.
Susan, and Nancy, I think chain link is what the plan is. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
it's-
I couldn't imagine it being anything other than that.
Yeah, if y'all don't have objections to it, then it would be one recommended draft going to council for a public hearing at their January, I want to say, 6th meeting. I
Sixth,
think.
I think, yeah.
Is the top of the fence
twisted wire or?
The top of the fence will actually not be twisted at the top. It'll actually be bent over. So it's not as much as injury prone, so people, unfortunately, if they would try to jump over, they could catch their wrist or something and
Right.
put a big gash. No, but that'll be bent over.
Chickahook, they started off with barbed wire at the top.
And I always think when there is an instance of, trespassing or things like that, I know I have little ones and sometimes they like to ride their bikes in different areas and things like that. It may just not be a total understanding. And I know not everyone reads their emails, which me sometimes too, but any kind of signage with a QR code that could go back to the court usage and, where they can not only sign up to be on the racquetball part of the Civic Association, but book time slots or anything like that, where they can easily kind of get a scope of the rules and layout of that, I'm sure would mitigate a lot of what you were likely seeing.
But we do have signage.
We have signage, and My Courts is the app that the pickleballers
Yes.
use to sign up with. And there's a code to get into the gate. So it's not like you can just walk in there without the code, which is part of why people have been jumping the fence so they can play if they didn't pay the money. But other than that, it'll be the same type of setup, and it'll look pretty much like the Hillcrest tennis courts does. If you've ever stopped by that, the lock on the gate's got a button lock. And so if children get in there, it's because somebody left the gate open, which can happen, but
Yeah.
typically not too often.
Okay, well, I've put that motion out there. Could I get a second?
Second.
Ed seconds. Thank you. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of my motion? Ed second. Raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed, none.
Thank you.
And thanks again. I'll reiterate what the mayor said. Great job. Ed and I were on that board for a number of years, about the time that tennis court was being built, I guess, wasn't it? And where you're doing the pickleball court, I'll give you a little history about that. I'm sure you probably already know how much division in the community there was. I mean, it was awful, awful. My kids both have little ones now, but they were 4, 5, 6 years old. And, it's like these old people in Southern Shores were, putting a marker in the sand, dare us to go in there and want to build something for children. And it got ugly. I ended up making the front page of the Virginian Pilot, blessing this guy out. That was really nasty. The Virginian Pilot just happened to be there doing an interview with one of our older members that was really adamantly for that recreation area to happen. And they nearly got in a fist fight out there. 2 80-year-old men out there fussing. So,
It was just undeveloped completely before, is that right?
yeah, there was nothing there. So, over the years, it's evolved. I mean, we really wanted soccer because Ed's kids were soccer was just starting to come along in the Outer Banks. So that's where the soccer came from. I think there was irrigation out there, wasn't it?
There was, remove some irrigation to do.
Yeah, there was. We irrigated that field eventually, maybe not right off, but anyway, just brief history of strife and trouble at Hillcrest Park.
Everybody happy, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, but thank y'all for what you do, and we
We
Certainly
appreciate the
appreciate it.
consideration of this amendment. So
Yeah.
as soon as hopefully the council approves it, then we'll get busy with quotes and get that fence replaced because it's prime time to do it now when it's
Yeah.
cold.
Heck, yeah.
Yep.
Well, hopefully you can recoup a little bit of the cost of the fence. Maybe somebody needs a 6-foot fence to,
If you've looked at that fence, I don't know if anybody really wants it.
Yeah.
It's been pretty damaged.
yeah, it looks like it. It's beat up pretty bad.
Well, Merry
Okay.
Christmas. Thanks
Merry
again.
Christmas. Thank you all. Okay. Public comment one more time. Anything else? Potholes, garbage collection, any of it?
How about deer?
Yeah. Okay. Well, planning board comments next. Start with Robert coming this way.
No.
Ed, I don't have anything.
Just on the entry corridor enhancement committee, we're close. We have a full final draft. Sent that, I don't know, last week. And we're talking about scheduling, and I'm sure somebody will be in touch about a potential joint meeting at the end of January.
Right.
So,
Good deal.
Yeah.
Natalie?
I do have one thing I want to bring up. So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I feel like has changed, but it's really in scope of our responsibilities. We're all here to, preserve the character of the town and advocate for our constituents. So there is a change recently that feel like it came to my front door when we got a license plate reader installed at the end of our street, but something I think should be a part of the public conversation because it does affect our town and our residents. So I have talked to our town manager and our mayor, and we're kind of getting maybe a public chat together on these license plate readers and what all that entails. But I have an article I'm going to share with our planning board, and it's called Sandbar Surveillance. And a local journalist did a really good article kind of getting the number of license plate readers that are installed in our local county, Dare County. And that article was written in February. And at that point, there were over 40 of these Flock license plate reader cameras in Dare County. And a direct comparison with Raleigh at that time had 28 installed. And so at that point, it starts to ask a couple questions. And these questions I brought up to our mayor and our commissioners just about what is our established procedures with this. And I think these systems, just so we know, they don't just read your license plate. They start to collect data on your vehicle, your bumper stickers, your dents on your car. They're starting to put together all of this data, and that's collected through a third-party vendor. I think there's a couple points that we need to, as a municipality, set out, establish some transparency, and make sure that we're protecting ourselves on the back end. One thing that has definitely been in the news lately is that these Flock cameras have been under a lawsuit in Hampton Roads. So the Norfolk municipality has had a lawsuit basically saying that there's a Fourth Amendment right violation with the amount and the scope of data that's being collected by these third parties. And the Norfolk judge found that the Flock collection, the storage constitutes a search and should require a warrant. And that's now gone on to a federal lawsuit. So I think whatever our policy is, it should be able to withstand similar scrutiny because we certainly don't have the budget for that scope of challenge at this point. Not only that, but I think that the vendor compliance. So we know our state has a law that this data should only be held for 90 days. And the North Carolina state has established that. But also making sure that we're doing checks with our vendor, whether that's Leonardo or Flock or whatever third party we're using that software for, is in compliance with our state law. And that, again, goes back to the protection of our municipality and our standards and transparency for our community. Greensboro, Raleigh, and Newport News all have transparency portals on their website where you can see how much data is being collected, if there are any misuses, and those are all for public display on their websites. I think that amount of transparency is hopefully what we should all come to expect if we are implementing these on the scale that we are. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up and bring this conversation into a public setting, and hopefully we can start to establish the parameters around what is going into these site selections. So I know I am in the real estate sector, and that's something I think a lot about is what's the first impression when people are coming onto the beach? And if you do, it's one of those things, if you're shopping for a red car and you start to see everyone has a red car, It's like if you understand these cameras and you start thinking about it, maybe you wake up a couple times at night like me over what kind of data collection is going on around us. You realize that paired with the NC dot cameras that we already have established on our very limited highway frontage, there's about 9 cameras from the bridge until you get to this office that you can see from our highway. So, I think when it comes to what our statistics are, our low crime rate, such an involved, great community we have here, I think that just goes back to the planning department and the architecture of what we're presenting to the community. I think that is an important representation. And I think just adding into the site selection, the transparency around this, how are we choosing these sites? Right now we live on a small dead-end street, and there is a flock camera for our small dead-end, low-density residential street. So it's like, as a concerned resident, I have my questions about that, but I'd love to see more conversation around it.
I would just echo, I share the concern a little bit because, yeah, we all carry these, but I choose to carry this. I made that conscious decision, and I know it's collecting my data, but, I think to get out of my neighborhood and to get to 128, there's 3 right there on Juniper. And I assume that 2 are Flock, the black ones. Those are more recent, and then there's another one. But, I read an article over the weekend about the city of Richmond and their program, and apparently the data being collected, they had a policy that it be retained by the city, but apparently it was not. It was being transmitted beyond the city of Richmond. And I've seen other malicious use of the data, and I wouldn't suggest that would occur here, but it can, unfortunately, and it does. But then, I also think about the fact that, we had some car break-ins on our street over the summer. And I can imagine it would have been useful to determine, who was doing that. I don't know that, but I would have to assume that it could have been used for that and probably was used to determine who was breaking into the cars. So I do see it both ways, but I also I'm a little hesitant about it. And I feel like we just need to be a little more transparent about them.
I have a question. Cliff, are these fall under the category of like a utility, or is this something the police department has deployed?
Police department.
Okay, so all of them in the town are there.
Not all of them. I think like I said, I think DOT has some, Dare County has some, but I think we had 8, or we had 8 at one time.
So they can see me speeding down Juniper?
Yeah,
When are they going to do
coming and going.
Well, as a board, I guess it needs to start with us, any kind of language, but since the mayor's here and sitting in the back row, Elizabeth, how do you feel about what Natalie's trying to create in a forum space that all of the town can be a part of?
Natalie's making it come up to the microphone.
Yeah, thank you.
So I talked to Natalie at our wonderful Christmas food gathering event, which was delicious. Thank you very much. And, just throwing it out there because I'm pretty not clued in on this other than reading some of the news reports, different communities and so forth and so on, conversations with Cliff. But the first thing I suggested was I'll have a mayor's chat. And then that just means, a lot of people don't like to come to these kind of formal meetings, whether it's the planning board or the town council for public comment. So if you have a mayor's chat, we sit around a table, the staff is here, we can have a conversation and get it going. That was really what I threw out to her. And I think she's got some travel issues, so we've pushed it off till maybe February, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the general plan right now, is to start with a conversation.
Yeah.
and go from there.
And by staff, Cliff, obviously, would Chief Cole be?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I
Chief
think-
Cole comes to every mayor's
Yeah,
chat.
sure.
Because you never know what someone's going to want to ask a question about. So I don't know all the answers.
Yeah.
That's why we have this wonderful staff
Mm-hmm.
to help either say we have the answer or say we can get the answer, and
Well,
that's the
I would
whole,
think
that's the
it-
whole point.
It would be the two of you and the chief and our attorney would probably need to be on board to answer some questions that may be of legal nature.
Yeah, if Cliff thinks it should be up to that extent, then we can do that.
I just wanted to add or ask that it'd be real easy for us to have a web page, and it had, or excuse me, I don't know, I'm losing my voice. I don't have kids at the house to yell at anymore. It would have our policy, it would have our agreement with Flock, it would have the locations of where they are. Maybe it would also have some reportable crimes or how they were used. But it's really easy for me to be comfortable with this because I know what I know. But I would like for maybe some input and some help with what that website might include to make folks, I don't know if folks are ever going to be comfortable with these, but I would want to know what we're missing, what we could add to make folks maybe more comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Because there's, the worst thing government can do is hide something that there's absolutely no reason to hide.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. No,
Might not be the worst thing, but it
I
is
think
bad.
all of the things that you mentioned would be great on the website, but at the mayor's chat, perhaps also we could understand the nature of the contracts with vendors, that they just show up, is this something the police department asked for? Or first thing I thought of was, I bet there was some federal money that came, they're flowing through and said, here, everybody gets a camera, put these cameras
Yeah.
out. And then you have companies like Flock and whoever else that suck up all that data for their own purposes. But I'm sort of cynical with government.
think the town deserves more information is, I believe, what everybody's in consensus on. So thank y'all for your input and being here. Wes, any more announcements that we need to be aware of?
Next meeting, regular meeting is scheduled for January 21. That is a Wednesday due to the holiday that Monday.
Okay, at 5.
Yes, sir.
Forgot one more thing.
Yeah.
Michael mentioned the entry corridor and special meeting. Is this an appropriate time to put a save the date on y'all's calendars? I think we came up with January the 27th.
To a joint meeting.
It's going to be, what are we going to call it, Wes?
Workshop.
Michael, what are we calling it?
A working session, joint working session, what they've been called before.
Well, and the
Sounds good.
yeah, it's not going to be very, I don't want to put wrong words on it because I want it to be a more like an open house where we'll have the planning board here. We'll have as many council members as are available to be here. Again, as many of y'all that are available to be here. And we'll have a presentation. It'll be, time for questions. We'll have displays up, I think. So it's more of an open house kind of, it's sort of a, I don't know, maybe a mix of the two, working session, open house, that kind of thing. Have I confused you?
Matt, we trust you with putting together the right words for this.
We'll
this
figure out what
gathering.
we're going to call it, but just for now, save the date.
Yeah.
How about that?
January 27th?
I think that's
Okay.
what we came up with. Wes, does that sound right?
I wasn't at that meeting.
Oh, darn. Michael?
It is, I believe that's correct.
Okay, January
Like in
27th.
the afternoon or evening?
Afternoon, evening? What?
I think we decided evening, right?
Yeah, we did.
5-ish, 5:30,
Okay,
just something
five-
like that.
5 works good.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, because I think that's when we did the open house was like 5 or 5:30, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
More to come. Thanks.
All righty. Anything else, Wes?
No, sir.
Well, item 11 is adjourned. I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Right.
Ed seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Happy holiday.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you all for coming.